Welcome to another episode of the Restoration Today podcast. I want to take a quick moment to give a shout out to this episode's sponsor, a network spanning all of the US and Canada, the TOMI Service Network. Consisting of members from multiple verticals, the TOMI Service Network provides members access to SteriMist technology, which is a powerful disinfection technology designed to adapt to any job site. Members also received marketing materials, member discounts, networking opportunities, and more through a new desktop and mobile app. Learn more today by visiting TOMIMIST, that's TOMIMIST.com, or by calling 800-525-1698. Hello there. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Restoration Today podcast. Today, we are talking all the things sales. This goes kind of in conjunction with a panel article that is going to be in the March-April issue of CNR. So I am bringing in somebody who is an expert in sales and business development. We are joined by John Monroe, who is the senior business development advisor, a senior advisor for Violand now. Sorry, I totally just butchered that. But yes, senior advisor, amazing new promotion. And he does a lot with a lot of companies in the industry in training their salespeople, helping nurture those business development programs and stuff like that. So John, thank you very much for joining me. So I'm just going to have you start by kind of sharing a little bit about your background for people who don't know you.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So again, John Monroe, and I am senior advisor, whatever they call it anymore, right? Yeah, no, I'm a senior advisor for Violand, and actually I'm getting ready to go on my 7th year with Chuck and the gang. So very excited about that. And prior to that, my prior life, I was with a large manufacturer. I was with Shaw Industries, the world's largest floor covering manufacturer. And I worked for them for 25 years, Michelle. And yeah, it was a long time. And I was in sales. I worked in sales management, and kind of moved myself around. And eventually I decided, like every person in the world, just like yourself, Michelle, you don't want to work for the man anymore. So what do? You go out on your own. And so I ended up, my wife and I bought a Hoods franchise, and we started cleaning kitchen exhaust restaurants. And we would eventually sell that business. And we ended up, eventually Jeff Jones, who everybody I'm sure is very familiar with, great sales guy. Yeah, Jeff and I used to work together at Shaw, and he picked up the phone one day and he calls me 7 years ago and he says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And here I am. So yeah, so it's exciting to be with the gang.
Perfect. So what was it like cleaning hoods at restaurants and stuff like that? That doesn't sound all that pleasant either.
Oh, it's exotic, I tell you.
I bet.
Yeah. I always laugh whenever I talk to people and they say, yeah, I suck water out of, people's basements. And I go, yeah, I used to, push water into grease ducts, right? And try to get grease. If you ever walk into a fast food restaurant, won't name any, but you walk into a fast food restaurant and you just kind of get that whiff of grease. Well, that's probably because they haven't had their hoods cleaned. And I used to come home and just reek of that smell. So, yeah.
That sounds great. I worked in the cafeteria for a little while at Michigan State in college. And I remember even just being in there just around the fryers, and I would come out and my now husband would be like, "You really got to take a shower." Like, wow, that's okay. All right. So you went from one industry with interesting conditions to another. So, all right. So how have you seen sales kind of evolve in the restoration space, especially maybe through COVID and the world's different with technology, all of that? How have you kind of seen sales evolve over the last 5 years or so?
Yeah, the sales has definitely changed, Michelle. I mean, and I say changed. I mean, sales is always sales. It's all about relationships. It's all about, going out, building trust with people and building a relationship. Since March 2020, when the world came to a close, the method of selling changed from face to face, and I say face to face, in person, face to face, and it went to this. It went to Zoom, and it went to more emails. It went to more phone calls and just more, less in person, more different techniques, things that had always been there though, right? I mean, we'd always sold like that. we all got comfortable though going in front of people. And here's what's crazy, Michelle. We just kind of coming out of COVID and everybody's happy and everybody's excited. Now we got this gas crunch. Guess what's going to happen? I think the pressure to stay out of the offices, I think it's going to get much greater again, because you're going to have a lot of people going, boss, I really don't want to pay $4 and $5 a gallon for gas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and it could only go up from here for a while. We'll see what happens.
It will. And I don't think so. Therefore, I don't think the feeling that we were all going to get to go back out and meet people again, I think that's going to be a challenge. I think it's not going to come back as quick as we thought it was.
So what do sales techniques look like now? If you are in person, like I'm bringing a box of donuts, right? That's a great way to sell to somebody, right? Make a good relationship.
Michelle, I thought I taught you better than that. Come on. Yeah, no, I am not I don't like the donut lady or the candy man. I am more about bringing value, Michelle. I mean, look at your magazine. You bring value to people, and that's why people read your magazine. And so what I would say to a restoration sales rep is bring Michelle's magazine in and talk about value in there, right?
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, but I always like in bringing, pens and pencils and all that good stuff as kind of a token to say, hey, please talk to me for 5 seconds, or bring me a donut, I'll feed you. And while you're eating, I'll talk. I'd rather you bring in something of value and talk about what that person needs that you're meeting with. That's what, look, go back to my word, relationships. And how do you build trust with somebody you've never met before? And the key to that is giving them value, helping them with their pain or their need, and showing them how you can resolve a problem for them or help them with a problem. And that's how you build trust. It's not through food. Yeah, I know everybody thinks it, quickest way to somebody's heart is through their stomach, but I'm not a big fan of that. So.
Yes. Okay. So what are some of the other common mistakes you see restoration sales or business development reps doing as they're kind of making their rounds, trying to talk to customers?
I see probably the biggest mistake, and it's funny we were talking about this because I just was with a group of salespeople yesterday, and this conversation came up, and one of them said, John, what's a good cadence that I should get into? What I call your sales playbook. If I call Michelle today on the phone and she doesn't take my call, how quick do I call her back, right? Or do I call her back? And I think, and the reason I say, do I call you back is I think there's two things here. One, it's the cadence. How quick do I call you back? Or how quick do I touch you again? And how do I touch you in the next process? Okay. I think some of us get stuck in the mode of we send out an email, or I keep doing this, I got to do this, or we get into this phone mode, right? And we keep calling people, and they look at the phone and they go, oh, it's that guy again. I'm not taking his call. Or they see your email and they go, oh my gosh, and delete, right? Change up your cadence. Number one, try something different. Reach out on LinkedIn or send a personal handwritten note in the U.S. postal system. Try different methods. And then I think the second part is don't wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And believe it or not, I get some sales reps that will say, oh, I'll reach out today to them, and then I'm not going to bother them for another 2 weeks. I go, you might as well not have reached out to them today. I mean, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to forget who you were, and you're going to start the process over again. So I think, a good cadence, Michelle, I think, matter of fact, this came out in the group. They said, well, I like to do 3 touches in 5 days. I think that's a good touch. You're not being too aggressive, but you're not being lackadaisical. You're not losing touch with the person. And then I said, change it up. Don't keep calling. Send an email. Reach out to them on LinkedIn. Get to know them somehow, right? So I think that's the key. And I think that's what sales reps are missing is too many sales reps reach out one way, take too long to come back to try and meet up with a new customer, right? Yeah.
How do you train restorers on how to kind of determine their niche market or who they're going after, their bread and butter customers?
Their target markets?
Yep, that.
Yeah, they're trying that.
In other words, yes, target market. Yes.
Yeah, their target market. That's a, I think it's important. Too many owners, Michelle, bring on a salesperson and they say to them, just go make it rain. And they say, who do I call on? Well, call on anybody you want. Go just call on people, right? And I think that's the wrong method. I don't think a good owner or sales manager or whoever's your boss, you need to have somebody that gives you a little bit of direction. You need to sit down and put a plan together. And I think I tell salespeople and owners, managers, I say, I think no more than 3 target markets is desirable for a salesperson. And go back again, I keep talking about that relationship. And in order to build relationships, I've got to understand your pain or your need, Michelle. I need to know what it is that what industry you're in, what are pains in your industry. I need to do some research. And if I don't do that research, I'm going to fail calling on you. So you pick 3 different industries or 3 different target markets to target. That's a lot of homework. Okay, so I think it's important for you to limit 1, 2, or 3 max. Not saying that you got to go 3. Somebody asked me that one day and I said, no, you don't have to go 3. I think you got to make a decision. Do you want to go residential or commercial? Okay, residential, if you're going after the residential market, you're most likely going to target plumbers, HVAC, roofers, home inspectors, bug control companies, of course, the insurance world, right? Insurance. I don't think that, a lot of people are saying the insurance world is not a good avenue, that it's dead. I don't think it's dead just yet. I think you have to be very judicial in who you're calling on. I think you need to do your homework and really hone in on the agencies that are going to be around for the long term. I think a lot of the newer agencies that are coming on, they're being told, hey, you don't handle claims, everything goes to the 800 number. And you're probably going to have more of a challenge calling on somebody like that than calling on somebody that's been around 20, 30 years and has a good book of business.
Yeah.
So, and then if you're going to go after commercial, sorry, I got off on a track there. You go after commercial, and there's always, and I split these up, Michelle. I go residential property management, and then I go commercial property management. Residential is, apartments, single family. That's huge right now. I mean, all this home buying that's going on, a lot of people don't realize that is corporations buying these homes. And they're renting them back out. So you need to find out who those companies are that are buying up all these single family homes and go develop a relationship with them. Some of them are realtors, believe it or not. A lot of them are real estate agency or real estate companies. And so there's another avenue for you. But residential property management, and then commercial property management is, of course, the big buildings. And I think there's a great opportunity there. I think there's a real good opportunity in both of those segments this year in 2022. I think residential and commercial is a good opportunity for any sales rep. Remember, though, your company has to be good at what they do, right? You just don't go and say, hey, I'm going to start doing homes and then all of a sudden switch to commercial. You could get yourself into trouble because you're talking a lot bigger losses, most likely. Your company has to be prepared. If you're the sales rep and you're going to go call on that, check with your owner, your boss, your team, make sure that they're okay with you going out and pursuing that. Can we handle it? So,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, staying on the relationship track of things, and you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier when you're talking about cadence, but how should people find the balance between nurturing the contacts and the relationships they already have and prospecting and finding new clients?
That happens at the same time. That's a funny question, because a lot of people will say, well, I'm going to go call on all my existing accounts in this area. And then at the end of the week, I'm going to go start calling on all these new people. Today, with gas being $4 and $5 a gallon, you better be smart about your travels. I like to break it up, Michelle. I take wherever you live, put a pin in that map, take and draw a circumference around or a circle around it, 55 miles or an hour or whatever your company is willing to cover. Draw a circle around that and say, break it into 20 pie pieces, let's say, 4 weeks in a month, 5 days a week. and you're going to call on each pie piece in per day. And inside that pie piece, you may be calling on, you may have three, let's say we got three target markets. We're going to call on agents, plumbers, and residential property management companies. And we've already got a good book of business with our agents and plumbers, and we're going to pursue some new avenues in the residential property management. Okay, well, add those into your day, right? Filter those in. Here would be the next question. You're going to say, well, how do you filter that in if you're already calling on 10 or 12 or 13 people in that area? How do you find time? Mm-hmm. And I always tell sales reps, first of the year, now's a great time right now between January and March. I'd like to do it in December, but never too late to change. Sit down, look at who you've been calling on. And everybody always says, well, when do you drop somebody? I don't know that you ever drop anybody, Michelle. You keep them on your list. You just don't make as many touches on them. So what I might do is, let's say I've been calling on an agent for, I don't know, five months in a row. And every time I walk in, the gatekeeper looks at me and goes, who are you with? Or what company, or what's your name, right? And I don't bring donuts, right? I'm not bringing the donuts. Don't make it to their stomach. So that person I may start backing off on. I'll say I'm going to only call on them once every 12 months. What I'll do in between those, 12 weeks. Sorry, 12 weeks. In between those 12 weeks, I might send them an email, or I might send them a personal handwritten note with my value add in it. Again, I'm not going to just cold turkey leave them alone for 12 weeks because they're going to forget me, but I'm going to just change the cadence change the way I'm going to touch them. That gives me now room to add somebody else into that route, right? Mm-hmm. So I think you're always developing, you're always farming, and you're always hunting.
What are some good value adds in this industry?
Oh boy.
A couple. You don't have to give away all your secrets, but a couple.
Yeah. This time of the year, holy cow. Up in your area, right? It's going from 65 degrees to 20 degrees, right? I mean, you guys are having these major swings. Even us down here in North Carolina, we've had some strange weather this year. But you get those heavy snows or heavy rains, and then all of a sudden it freezes, and then all of a sudden it starts thawing again, and you end up with backup somewhere, or you end up with frozen pipes or something along that line, right? So this is a great time of season to do something on frozen pipes. A lot of people go out and start washing their cars when it's 60 degrees, leave the hose on. Guess what? It freezes the next night, and then you gotta, where that goes. And so, I always talk about that. That's a great value add. Give an agency, and I'm talking about an insurance agent in this case, give them some tips to hand off to their consumers, to their policy holders. You could do this with plumbers. Also hand that out to a plumber. Residential or commercial, talk about risk management plans. Do you have some type of risk? Everybody calls them emergency response plans. I call it risk management. Do you have a risk management plan? I think today's world, COVID taught us a lot. How many businesses had a plan for, a COVID situation, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot of times businesses don't think about what happens if the waterhead sprinkler goes off and washes, all the building for us, right? The internal building. Now, what do we do? Where does people go? How do we reboot computers, or what do we do? I think there's a lot of questions, and if you're not thinking about that before the disaster happens. So I think that's always a good conversation, or a good value add, is talk about what is your plan, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. My toddler is crying because my mother-in-law left, and he's in his crib. This is terrible. Sorry.
Go. Nice. Kudos to you.
Buddy, I could hear him talking, and he's in the phase where he's like climbing out of his crib, and I'm looking at my door. I'm like, he's going to walk in here any minute, but okay.
I saw you keep looking, and I thought, something's wrong.
I was like, can we keep going? Okay, I'm just going to turn my blur off, and then we're just going to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
You should be totally fine. And Luca.
Hey there. How are you?
That's John. Can you say hi?
Like, who is that strange guy? You like my fish back here?
It's tired now. Okay. All right. So we've been talking about relationships. So I'm curious what a good sales manager looks like now. I know a lot of companies, especially as they're growing and consolidating, have sales departments that are bigger and have sales managers. So what does a good sales manager look like?
Yeah, a good sales manager, and I'm going to talk about the client and a lot of the clients that we work with, where you hire a sales manager and they have their own account base. Okay, so they're calling on a target market of their own, and then they're managing, maybe 2, 3, 4 sales reps also. And so I think a good manager, you're looking for what kind of the ideal manager is.
Yes, because I'm thinking these people aren't necessarily going out and meeting with clients as much. Maybe they have a few bigger accounts, but mostly they're there to nurture and help the BDRs below them, right?
Correct. And that's a great question now that I think about it, because this is something I talk, whether you're a sales manager / salesperson, or you're a owner / sales manager. Okay, let's take both scenarios. I talk to both cases. I say, first thing you need to do is hold a weekly meeting with them, Michelle. Mm-hmm. Okay? You wouldn't have your production people just never have a meeting every week to talk about what they're doing in a person's home or how the different jobs are going and so forth. You have a weekly WIP meeting, production meeting, whatever you want to call it. Same thing with salespeople. You have to have a weekly sales meeting with each individual salesperson and ask them about their past week. Where'd they go? Who'd they see? Use their CRM as a way of analyzing what they're saying and doing. And then the other part, and this is the most important, Michelle, and boy, I get a lot of pushback from sales managers and owners, more owners than sales managers, that I'll say, hop in the car and ride all day with your salesperson. And they'll go, oh, I can't do that. I go, why not? Well, what do I say to them, right? I mean, what do you mean? What do you say to them? They're a person. But, you don't have to be a salesperson yourself to hop in the car and do a ride along with your salesperson. What you're doing is you're listening to them, Michelle. You're having a good listening moment. You walk into the call with them. You listen to what they're saying. You don't take the call over. You let them the salesperson do all the talking. Then you hop in the car and you say, what do you think, Michelle? How'd that go? And, Michelle's first question back to me is, well, what do you think, John? How'd it go? And I go, no, that's not how this works. I want to know what you think. I want to hear how you think you did on that sales call. And it's called self-evaluation. And I want to teach salespeople to do that on a regular basis, have self-evaluation of their sales calls. What went well, what went wrong? How would I do something different? Learn from your sales calls. And that's what a sales manager / owner should be doing on a regular basis. And I encourage, if you've got somebody experienced, probably once a month, maybe twice a month. If you've got a new person, hop in the car probably the first 90 days, at least once a week, and just ride around and listen to what they're saying. If you don't do that, Michelle, I really find it hard to fire a salesperson, because how do you know why they're failing if you haven't ridden with them and listened to them, right? Maybe they just don't know what to say, or they're not saying the right things. You got to hop in the car and listen. So 2 things. 1, hop in the car, ride with your salesperson. 2, make sure you're having that weekly meeting. And actually the third one, if you're a sales manager and you're managing 2, 3, 4 people, have that monthly meeting and do something that's a team building exercise, or teaching better sales presentations, or do some sort of sales training. There's lots of that out on the market today.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And I'm curious, what are some of your tips for turning around a losing streak? I guess we all hit a rough patch maybe, right? So what are your tips for turning that around?
I've never had a losing streak.
No, I'm sure not. That's how you got to be a BDR, right?
That's right.
Ever.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I think again goes back, Michelle, I think it's important for the salesperson to self-evaluate. And if you're having a slow time, or you're not seeming to look, we're in the business of never knowing when a disaster is going to happen, right? We're literally hoping people have something go wrong with them, with their house or something. So, kind of a little bit of a funny world in that case. But again, if you're not winning jobs, and there's something happening every single day, there's somebody's water line breaking, somebody's toilet's overflowing, somebody's house is catching on fire. These all happen every single day. And so if you're not getting those wins, you're not having those wins or those calls, I think you have to ask yourself, am I calling on the right people? Am I building true relationships with them? Have I really built a good relationship with them? And 3, am I saying the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Or am I just walking in with the pins and those donuts all the time and thinking that people are going to give me business because of that? I got to bring them value. You've got to address what their needs are. And I think sometimes salespeople just get into a routine, and we all do, consultants do, journalists do, you get into a rut where you just start doing the same thing over and over, and you forget what your purpose is. And your purpose is ultimately to help the person that you're calling on. And you got to get back to that.
Yes. Okay. So let's say the person you've been calling on, they do have a loss and they call in a loss. Your company is taking care of it. What role should the salesperson play once there is a loss and your company is handling the loss?
Great question. I would recommend that the salesperson pick up the phone, and if it's an agent or a plumber or a realtor or somebody like that referred you their client, pick up the phone and call them and say, number 1, thank you for the referral. Number 2, I will keep you informed on how that job's going. If there's any problems, I will call you. I'll email you. You probably already should have had this conversation with them, Michelle, before the loss occurred, and said, if you're a customer, when you call me and you give me a loss, how would you like me to communicate with you, right? That should be a pre-disaster or pre-loss question. But if you haven't, no big deal. Then just say to the person, how would you like me to keep you informed on this job as it goes along? And agents are notorious for saying, I don't care, don't bother me. Unless something goes wrong, don't call me. I don't know that I like that. I'd say, you know what, I'm going to give you a quick email and just say, hey, Mrs. Smith's doing great. Everything's going along perfect. We're going to get out of the job on time. All's good. Just drop it. Even if they say don't, I still make sure that people keep informed, because I don't want to be there calling only with the bad news.
Sure.
If you're calling on commercial, let's say you're calling on nursing homes or residential property management, commercial property management, I think you need to keep in touch with your referral source, whoever you've been working with. I think it's important for you to keep calling them regularly and saying, is everything going well on the job? Are we living up to the way I told you we would do our job? Are you satisfied? Is there anything I can do to help? And just really don't be over an annoyance to the person. Don't keep calling them daily or hourly, but I think you should keep in touch with them on a regular basis.
Yes. And hopefully that'll help you get a good review or whatever in the end that will also help, right?
Absolutely. For sure. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Kind of one of my last questions here is the kinds of technology that you see business restoration companies using for sales. What do you recommend? What do you think is smart for a sales department to have?
I always have to hold up my favorite button, right? I'm a Loom and Zoom guy, and I say Loom. It's asynchronous video. It's the big word, or it should be the big word in your vocabulary. Loom, Vidyard, any of those. But the key to asynchronous video is when I don't have you there on the other side, and you and I aren't having a one-on-one conversation. So I'm literally talking to the computer, and I'm sending this video to you, Michelle, and saying, Michelle, in 90 seconds, I got 90 seconds to say something to you and prove to you, number 1, that I can handle your business. And in asynchronous video, you've got to be really dialed in. You got to have something in the background that says, I know something about you, Michelle. I pull up your LinkedIn. I've never met you before. So I pull up your LinkedIn and I put it in the back, and I'm sitting over here in a little circle talking to you and saying, Michelle, I see that you have, experience in this and you have experience in that. And I wanted to just touch base with you and see if there's anything I could help with the situations that you've had occur to you in that business. Wow. Now, all of a sudden, I've made an impression. Actually, I saw a video the other day. It was really cool. It was an insurance salesman, and he was doing like what we're doing, a Zoom call with one of the asynchronous video companies. And they start the video out, and there's a Kiss concert going on. And yeah, this is great. And all of a sudden, then his little picture pops up in the corner, and he's talking to this building owner. And he did research. He creeped on the guy, right? So he goes to the guy's Facebook page, and he finds out this guy is a huge Kiss fan. So what's he do? He puts Kiss video on to start it out. And now the guy, and this little GIF is playing on the email with Kiss in it. Well, naturally, you're going to open if you're a Kiss fan. So the guy, he opens it up, and then the guy starts talking to him about how he wants to help sell him insurance. It was funny. It was a great story, great video. Somebody asked in the comments, did you get the business? And the guy said, actually, I didn't. But he said, I got the guy responded to me. He said, I did get an email back. The guy said he really appreciated the personal touch to the video, personal touch that he knew something about me. But he said, I already have a good friend in the business, and I'm going to keep my business with this guy. So, but where I'm going, asynchronous Loom video. Here's a kicker. 40% of the sales reps are using asynchronous video. Loom videos or video videos, 40%. That means 60% of the sales reps aren't. Guess what? You're on the cutting edge. Be the first kid on the block to be doing it. So that's my tip for a good salesperson. Start looking at that. I think you also need to be a trusted advisor on social media, Michelle. Okay. I think you do a great job on this, actually. I love getting your LinkedIn messages, and I follow you on LinkedIn because you're always bringing value to the market. And I think more sales reps need to take your lead and be adding value out there. And LinkedIn is a great place to do it. You can do it on your own personal LinkedIn, and usually you don't have any cats and dogs or anything on your LinkedIn. It's all more business oriented. Yep. And you need to develop a professional image or brand out there. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of sales reps miss that. And I think that's where they need to focus. So
there's a lot going on LinkedIn. You can get so much traction on LinkedIn if you are doing it right. Yes.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine doing business without LinkedIn. So
there's a good testament. There you go. So I agree.
I really can. Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you want to share that we didn't touch on?
Last thing I will say is, I mentioned CRM as a manager, and I think it's very, very important, Michelle, that whoever management platform, software platform you're using as far as a company, a restoration platform, you need to have a CRM. And as a salesperson, you need to be using it. I want my salespeople to keep good, copious notes in a CRM. I want them to know what they said to the person the last time they were in there. I want them to put notes as to what they're following up on that for that person. And it also helps the manager, sales manager / owner or sales manager to know what you're doing. I think it's just a good tool, and it's very useful. It also keeps track of where your sales are coming from and how you're producing. Look, salespeople are the easiest people to get rid of. It's simple. If I'm not producing, I'm out the door, right? I mean, it's that simple. Yeah, but you got to track it. You got to have a system of tracking. And so I think that's the most important. There are some great CRMs out there, and I encourage people to make sure they're using them.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you for all the wisdom. I appreciate it. This is going to be a great sidebar to that article. So it's always a pleasure talking to you, John. And for people who are watching, he had to do it twice with me. So John, thanks for doing it twice. Thanks for my technical issues and having a kid in the picture. Thank you for your flexibility.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome, Michelle.
All right. Well, have a good one. Thanks, John.
Okay. Thank you.
For more Restoration Today, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, or find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts.